Hey everyone, just wanted to do a quick Q&A video featuring questions that have been submitted by you guys. So for those of you not familiar with my work, I am very active in the Fire Emblem fandom. I draw short form comic strips, little funny comic strips featuring the Fire Emblem characters in various situations, lots of funny faces, screaming, stuff like that. But I also try and draw more character-focused art in a, for lack of a better word, an anime style. And that's just another part of my art that I do. And I've been drawing for a very, very long time, and I've been posting my work online for about 5 years now. And over those 5 years, I've gotten a lot of different questions about my process or my techniques or motivations and stuff like that. And I never really felt like I could articulate everything within Twitter's character limit, for example. So recently I opened up a Curious Cat account. I received your questions, and I selected some that I had a lot to talk about. And we're just going to go ahead and answer some of them. It's going to be pretty informal, just so you guys have something to look at. In the background is a time-lapse of me drawing a Lilith comic, something that I posted a few months ago, because I think it fits the theme. We're doing a deep dive into me and my process, so why not just have my process on in the background, right? So for the first question, this one is from an anonymous user saying, "Hi Retsu, where do you draw inspiration for your comics? Do you have a favorite comic series growing up?" I'm actually very, very happy that someone asked this question because there is definitely a lot to unpack here. Starting off with the obvious answer, a lot of my Fire Emblem comics are inspired by the same style and humor of the Hi, I'm Daisy, Metal Gear, Persona comics. They are absolutely hilarious. Go give them a read if you haven't. And I was especially drawn to how they basically just tell the entire game's story over again, but they take it up to 11. The characters are just absolutely ridiculous and hilarious, and they really take the opportunity to like lampshade a lot of the problems with the game, but then they also kind of laugh it off. So I think that the real lesson that I learned from this series is that it's okay to like something that is flawed a little bit, and it's also okay to poke fun at it, and it can all come from like a place of love, and that can, bring more attention to the series. And for a game series where there's a lot to love, but there's also a lot to hate and make fun of, such as Fire Emblem, I think that kind of approach, kind of like a positive approach to critiquing it and to kind of bring attention to some of the sillier aspects of the series, I think it works really, really well. And speaking of critiquing, possibly my favorite comic series of all time that I don't get to talk about enough is Calvin and Hobbes. It is superb, absolute masterclass in like newspaper comic format, and it's always been a constant presence in my childhood. It's like the first comic series that I ever read, and it is amazing, mostly because it always takes time to critique things about the society at the time that they didn't like. Like you'll see Calvin's dad watching TV, or you'll see Calvin trying to work on an assignment and they'll proclaim that it's bogus or whatever. And it's great to me because you can really feel that Bill Watterson's projecting a lot of his own emotions and personal biases into the comic, but it's being explained like through these innocent characters who are fun to see and interact with. So in a way, if you can kind of disguise your message within a nice like vehicle, a lot of people will be drawn to it. It's very much the same kind of message that the Hi, I'm Daisy comics kind of taught me, right? Where it can be very effective to express your own opinion through characters. And you'll see that a lot in my Fire Emblem comic series where instead of saying like, oh, I think these characters are too hyperactive, or if I think this part of the story doesn't make any sense, I'll just simply let it play out, dial it up to 11, and just let the characters kind of react to this situation. And in a way, the characters kind of become straight men to the game's plot that they're actually part of. And I think that just makes it all the more hilarious when the characters themselves are saying like, wait, this doesn't make any sense, what the heck's going on? And the viewer can kind of feel that point that I'm trying to make as well. This also leads into our second question, also from Anonymous, saying, when it comes to drawing, what do you do to stay motivated? So when I draw, or when I draw comics in particular, I always, like I said, I always want to have a message or like a point to say, like whether I want to say like, oh, this part of the story doesn't make any sense, or wouldn't it be funny if this actually happened in the story, or like, well, this character's motivation is like totally off the wall. That's usually like the driving force behind my work, is I have a message and I really, really, really want to express it more than anything. So if you're having trouble staying motivated, I would say that you would have to look for meaning within your own art. Like, I rarely ever draw characters being cute just for the sake of being cute. There's always like some kind of spin on it, where it's like, oh, here's Felicia, but now she's skateboarding. Here's Corn, but now she's wearing some, fancy clothes. I think it's also kind of like a weakness, right? Where I can't just draw a character for the sake of drawing a character. They always have to be doing something or like expressing some message that I'm trying to, portray. But in a way, when I do get those ideas, it is the best feeling in the world. Like, let me tell you, if you have an idea that you want to express and it just snaps into your mind like that, like you just want to drop everything and just, rush out the idea and draw it out immediately. So if you're having trouble being motivated, just take some time and think about what you want to say. For example, say you want to draw a picture of Lucina. Well, what do you want to say about Lucina? Do you want to say that maybe she's a really cute, girl, right? Like, okay, well, how do you kind of express the fact that she's cute? Well, if you look at her character, she seems to have a bad sense of fashion, so maybe we can dip into that, right? Like she's holding a t-shirt that has an absolutely like atrocious design on it, and she looks really enthused about it. And that could be like cute. So, bam, draw Lucina holding t-shirt, Freddy Freaker. That's the idea right there. And, if you feel like this is a really good idea, that you want everyone to see this picture, then you're going to be motivated as hell. Nothing in the world is going to stop you from drawing Lucina holding that Freddy Freaker t-shirt. For our last question today, it is from Dane. I see him a lot in my Twitter feed, so thank you for submitting a question, Dane. He has 2, and that's absolutely fine. What's the favorite piece that I ever drew, and are there any other series that I want to draw more art from? So for the second question, we're going to answer that first. I think it's a little shorter. I'd love to draw more art from Arknights. I think that not just like both my styles would work really, really well, both the comic and the other and more anime style. The comics, I see a lot of Arknight comics on my feed, and I just want to join them. But I've kind of fallen off the game's lore and stuff, so I think I might wait for Enfield to come out and kind of get like a fresh slate before I hop back on that Arknights train. Now for the other question, what's my favorite drawing I've ever done? First off, I want to kind of establish that whenever you ask an artist this question, I feel like they're going to consider a lot of factors that's more than just like the finished drawing you see on social media, because that's what everyone else sees, but to them they had to toil for like hours working on this one piece, and there is a story behind that drawing, right? And for me, I think the drawing with the best story behind it has got to be the Felicia skateboarding picture. And one of the big reasons is of the context of the drawing that it was done in. During that time, I wasn't really confident in a lot of my full body drawings. I mainly just drew like bust up, waist up kind of deals. But then I decided, you know what? I need to draw poses. They need to be dynamic. They need to be fun. So I remember that there's this one artist that did a lot of skateboarding maids, and I thought that was an absolutely hysterical concept, right? You have these maids who are all so prim and proper, and they're just shredding it up. That's amazing, right? And I took it a bit further, like what if the maid was also just clumsy as hell? boom, Felicia is now skateboarding. And I had to find, the absolute perfect reference image, and it really lent itself to a really nice dynamic pose and amazing concept, and I was just super, super motivated to draw this one out. And what also helped was the idea lent itself to a pretty clean background. Like, you just see the sky and the clouds are behind her because, like, she's getting some serious airtime, right? But in all seriousness, like, the background is simple, but it works super, super well for the concept. And, like, it also got a lot of likes on social media, so that certainly doesn't hurt. I hope you can tell what I mean when I say that there's a lot of context behind the drawing that makes it my favorite, because it wasn't just a cool idea that I just, popped out of nowhere. It was my need to try and draw more full bodies, maybe experiment with a more simple art style, draw more backgrounds, and it all kind of culminated in this, what I consider an overwhelming success. And it really kind of launched my further confidence into drawing more full bodies. Alright, that's all the questions that I want to answer in this video right now. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted them. I'm going to come back and I'm going to answer some more. There are some more great questions about my process, as well as some very interesting Fire Emblem questions I want to answer as well, such as who I think is the most underrated and overrated character. I'm going to have to give that one some deep thought. That is a real head scratcher. But for now, let me know what you thought of this video. It's definitely a new format, but I feel like that there's a lot of things that people want to hear me talk about and that I also want to talk about. I love interacting with you guys as usual, so I hope that you all look forward to more Q&A style videos coming soon. Thanks for watching.